little known facts, recipes for fudge, Door County Peninsula, and Belgians. What do these things have in common? You'll find them all delightfully woven together in Kristen DeSmet's latest book, Undercover Fudge. In addition to having two series, one based in fudge, the other in chickens, short stories and scripts, Christine teaches fiction, nonfiction, and screenwriting at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Welcome to Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews. Thank you for being here, Christine.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here. And you're a fellow Blackbird writer, so this is good. Yeah.
This is all fun.
Just like we're just going to lunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
wish we could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait until we can all be together.
Right. Yeah, people may not know we're across the country from each other. So
yeah. So this is always so much fun because we get to actually just, like you said, just like chatting over lunch.
Yeah. And only a few years ago we couldn't do that. So this is pretty nice.
Yeah. It's like sometimes that technology is exactly what you need.
Yeah.
All right, so I am just going to jump right into some questions about Undercover Fudge because I did find it so just engaging and funny and charming. And one of the funniest scenes, and I won't give it away, but I will say Ava is folding fudge, your main character, and her best friend loses something really important in the fudge. So my question is, has anything like this ever happened to you when you were doing any kind of recipe?
No, it hasn't, which, I almost, as a writer, you almost wish it did. So you had that experience and you could just write about it. But a lot of people have had that sort of experience where you lose something down a sink, or of course the toilet is the cliched one.
Yeah.
And, I've heard of people losing rings and things at restaurants, especially in cold weather when your fingers get skinny, and your jewelry falls off. So I just took it from those things in life that have happened to other people. But no, it didn't happen to me. It came out of my own imagination.
That's a pretty good imagination. I did have a ring once, my wedding ring, actually. I just, I talk with my hands a lot, which I try not to do on Zoom because they just disappear. And in the middle of a sports bar, my ring went flying.
Oh my God.
And my husband was like, ah.
Well, it happened to our electrician the other day. He came to change out some lights, and suddenly he realized his wedding ring was gone. And this was a young guy who had just gotten married, and the precious wedding ring was gone. So we searched our house. It wasn't here. I think it was probably lost in his truck somewhere, or with his tools or something, because, again, in chilly weather, it can just slip right off your finger. And I felt so sorry for the guy.
Oh,
so I crossed my fingers that he found it somewhere.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah.
It is a startling discovery when it's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so one of the recurring characters in your series is Lucky Harbor, who is a three-legged dog. Is Lucky based on any pets that you've had or that your friends have had?
He is based on just my love of dogs, and our family has a lot of hunting dogs in their background. My father had one. I've got some nephews with hunting dogs, and they're just wonderful, smart animals. And Lucky Harbor happens to be an American Water Spaniel, which is Wisconsin's official state dog.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was developed in Wisconsin. It's a breed that was developed here for hunting of waterfowl and other small game. It's a smaller dog. It's not a giant by any means. It's more along the lines of a poodle size type of dog. So yeah, so I just picked it because I love the idea of the hunting dog and that type of dog in Wisconsin.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and I love how the characters interact with him. He just runs all over town and everybody knows him and loves him. Yeah, that's just great. So there is a paragraph in your latest novel where Ava insists fudge is brain food. So my question for you is, what makes fudge better than a cookie?
Oh boy, those are fighting words. Cookies versus fudge. Yeah. Well, I think when we're talking brain food, we're actually talking chocolate fudge, because it's the chocolate that's the real brain food. Chocolate, the caffeine in chocolate is known to stimulate the brain and to stimulate the dopamine, the happy center in the brain. And people do recommend it before tests, before you have exams or something, and when you're studying, they do say, eat a little chocolate. You don't want to eat too much because it does overstimulate your heart, but it does stimulate the brain. So it is brain food because of the ingredients in the chocolate that you use in fudge.
All right. And fudge is just that chocolate infusion. Whenever I travel someplace, because I am in the Southwest and you're in Wisconsin, whenever I travel someplace really cold, I find that whenever I get back to the hotel and I'm, frozen and I can't feel my fingers, I just crave chocolate and just a couple of bites of chocolate. And it's like, okay, everything's better.
Yeah, you have to have chocolate with a little glass of red wine. Usually those two things go together pretty well.
Yeah, that's not a bad little pick-me-up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so next question then is about ruby chocolate. Kind of what is it? And you, Ava, through you, mentions that it's finicky. What makes it finicky and what makes it pink?
Yeah, ruby chocolate is controversial. If you go online, any of the viewers of this can go online and you'll see a lot of controversy about whether it's just white chocolate painted pink, dyed pink or something, with food coloring in it. But according to the people who developed it, it's not fake. It comes from the beans that you get chocolate from. They're not processed as much. So the red purple coloring of the beans stays within the chocolate and colors it pink. And that's where it gets the pink color. It has a little bit of an acidic taste, they say. Some people will argue it's not, but some people say it even has a berry taste, so like a raspberry taste. The one thing that makes it finicky too is that when it's exposed to light, it turns to gray. The pink color dissipates and it becomes gray. So when people use it, they do add some coloring if they want to retain that pink color. So it's a little tricky to work with from that standpoint. It can turn kind of ugly if you're not careful.
Yeah. If you're looking for like this beautiful tin
Right.
thing.
Yeah, I can imagine trying to use it in some cake or something for a wedding, and then suddenly your beautiful pink cake is now gray. I mean, you wouldn't want that.
No,
That would not be
probably
good.
not.
No.
Well,
But it's a whole new thing. So it's controversial, but there's a lot more. There's candy bars now using it. It's being used more and more. I think just because it's something new, it's something different. We all like to try something different.
Yeah. Well, one of the things you said was that it has a little bit of an acidity to it. And like the original red velvet cake recipe, it was cocoa and vinegar was what created the red color, not a whole bottle of food coloring. So
Right.
it makes sense that the chocolate, little bit of acidic, might make it turn that
Right.
beautiful
Right.
blush color.
Yeah.
Also, if you had to add liquid to it, how chocolate seizes if it's got too much liquid in it.
Right.
So I
Right.
can see it. Yeah, that makes sense now how it can be finicky.
Yeah.
And gray.
Well, chocolate is temperamental anyway, if you're working with chocolate, because it can quickly turn to either soup if you add the wrong things, or it turns to glass practically if you do the other way with it. That's too much. So yeah, it's kind of tricky.
Yeah, definitely. I try to avoid ever having a recipe that says temper this. Like, no.
Yeah, well, me too. Yeah, it's like, no, don't go there. Yeah.
Don't go. That's just hard.
Yeah.
All right. I want to switch gears a little bit here and ask you about, you have a short story that's coming out. and a short story that started life as a novella. So you trimmed 15,000 words from it, which is just
Yeah.
like, editing is a brutal process anyway, but that kind of cutting is just like a knife to the heart. So tell me how you did it, how you got through it. Did you
Yeah,
eat a little
yeah.
chocolate?
Yeah, this is good for anybody who's got these old stories laying around and they want to repurpose them. And that's basically what I'm doing with some of my work. Because you write a bunch of stuff and then it sits there. The way I approach it from going from 20,000 words down to 5,000 words is first I look at the beginning, middle, and end. I map out in one sentence, what is the nugget of the story? What's the first act, the second act, the third act? And I write that down. And once I know that, then I know what my goal is and what I can't lose. Those are my gems that I cannot lose. That's the story core.
Yeah.
And then I start scraping away words. I summarize things. I take away the extra settings that I don't need or the extra description about setting, because 5,000 words, you can't afford a lot of, trying to make the setting a personality, for example. You can't always do that. So that's how I approach it. I go with the 3-act structure first and look at that. And then, of course, I look at clutter. I take out any clutter that I found in my own writing, the extra words like but and it was. And there's all these words that, we all know, us writers, we know this stuff. So I look for that material to get out of there as well. So it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work, as you know, because you write a lot of short stories. You're good at writing short stories and you know what it takes. In fact, I wanted to show people, I loved your story in this. Yeah, this was really good. Really fun mystery story. So you're one of my mentors because I read this and studied it. Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome.
So.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I actually have a short story. It should be coming out this month. It's another in Malice Domestic. And it is Mystery Most Diabolical is the anthology. And
Okay.
my short story in that one is the professor's lesson, because it takes place on a university campus.
Okay. Good luck.
Yeah. It's like, there are things that happen among faculty that a lot of people don't know about.
Well, yeah. I could write a lot of different stories too, with a lot of different things that happen on a university campus.
Yeah. Okay, so you also write scripts.
Yeah, I do. I love script writing. I've been a script writer for many, many years, for about 3 decades. So I have enjoyed it very much. I've won contests, national contests. I've optioned to New Line Cinema in the past and to a couple other producers as well. And just had a marvelous fun. And I teach screenwriting, and I am a writing coach as well. So I look at a lot of screenplays for writers, and I really love the form. And screenwriting informs my novel writing and my short story writing too, because a lot of what I do when I edit, the 3-act structure, for example, in my short story, that comes from my screenwriting past.
Yeah.
That's where I learned that right away in life. And I just love it. Also, once you do screenwriting, you know how to move words around, pare things down, because you learn the concept of real estate. The page is real estate, and it's expensive. Real estate is expensive. So you know that every word costs money to somebody, and you know the value of taking out words or using the best words possible to make it even more valuable. So that all comes from screenwriting. So I learned a lot by being a screenwriter.
Yeah, I think the screenwriting process, it really it just strips everything down to just the story. You're
Yeah.
telling the story.
Yeah.
All the beautiful writing and lovely prose and all of that goes
Yeah.
away, and you're just telling the story.
Yeah.
And that's really hard for especially people who write novels to try to start
Yeah.
adapting to that.
Well, And you also teach screenwriting too, I believe, don't you?
I do indeed. I've been teaching it for about 20 years. So
Yeah, yeah. And so you know the value of storytelling and what not only just producers, but now it's the book editors who are looking for the movie within the novel.
yeah,
Now, when we write novels, we're thinking movie. What will my editor or my publisher do with what I'm writing? Will they be able to option this to a movie producer? And now that can sound a little crass to some people, but I love that idea that your story needs to be important from page one in your novel. From page one on, you need to have a good story.
yeah,
And that translates to a good screenplay. So it does help me write my novels by thinking about the importance of getting it started right away on page one.
yeah. And that concept of the visuals,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's got to look like something or it won't translate onto the
right,
screen.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's great. I love that you've optioned a few things, because I know just from I've had students who are in Hollywood, and yeah, you can get something optioned and it's not going to ever get made into a movie.
Oh,
And that happens
it happens all the time. And that,
way more. Yeah.
yeah, and that's where I'm at too. I have optioned, the things that I referenced, and I doubt they'll ever be made, or they might not be optioned again, or they may be optioned 10 times and nothing happens. That's just how it works out there. So yeah, as they say, you should have another job. It used to be the waitress job, they would tell you, or the waiter job. But yeah, it's an interesting industry. But
Yeah.
luckily today, a lot of people can make their own films.
Mhm.
Short films are doing well, and we all have that kind of equipment now that's pretty cheap, and you can make your own films. So it's
Yeah, you
fun.
make your own films, and you can also there are so many options with streaming, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So we write mysteries. It's like, well, okay, maybe we're not gonna have something on Netflix, but we might have something on Acorn. Because
Hmm.
they stream cozies. That's what they do. So
Yep.
just all these different streaming possibilities are out there, and that helps as well. But also just things like Vimeo and YouTube, where you can make your short film and put it up there for people to see. It's
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
a great option. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, I love the idea of people just doing their own film festival online with YouTube or whatever means they want to do it. Everybody's doing it, and TikTok is encouraging a lot more people to do the little mini clips, and it's yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's really fun. All right. Well, I have one last question for you, and that is, what is next for Ava and the Fudge
Wow.
Shop Mysteries?
Well, I am working on a Christmas book. It won't come out until next year sometime. It's called Holly Jolly Fudge Folly, and it carries on, yeah, with some more. Well, some interesting things do happen. There's a cliffhanger at the end of this one, the Undercover Fudge. There's kind of a cliffhanger at the end, and I pick up on that in this next book, and there's some problems with it. So she's gonna, and it's set in the winter time, and there's some problems with some elves. So I've done research on elves. There are elves in practically every country. They have different names, different stories behind them. And I'm having terrific fun looking at elves and gnomes, and they have all kinds of different names. They all look a little different. And they're going to enter into a Holly Jolly Fudge Folly. So it should be a lot of fun. I haven't yet decided if they're making fudge too, but I think the elves need to make some fudge. So that would be a lot of fun.
Okay, I lied. I have one more question. It's just specifically about fudge and not writing. So when you get a home recipe, I've never seen a home recipe that has the folding in it that you see when you go to a fudge shop, and they're actually doing the giant folding it and everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So is that just because the batches are so big, it needs that extra step, or is that something that you could do at home to give it a little more texture or something?
Yeah, you absolutely could. And if you do make fudge the old-fashioned way with all of the old ingredients and with the thermometer and the whole bit, then you might want to pour it out and have fun with it and do it that way. The thing is, today a lot of fudge is made with the microwave, and we just stir up the chips, so we don't need to fold it that way.
Oh, okay.
And it's called loafing. We don't need to
Loafing.
loaf our fudge. But if you do it the old-fashioned way and with a thermometer and get it to a certain place, and you want to put it out on a board and do it that way instead of mixing it around in a bowl, you can do it that way. I mean, it's up to you if you want to do it like that. And what you're doing is you're folding air into it too, and it changes the crystals. So you want to be careful what you're doing and how much air you want to get into it. So I would say play with it. It'd be great at Christmas time. Get your kids, give them a bunch of stuff, have them, throw it out on the table or wherever and see what they can do with it.
Okay. Yeah, I wondered which step it was that we were kind of missing. So that's a perfect explanation. Again, nothing to do with writing, but I was really curious.
Everything to do with writing. It's fudge. Come on.
Again, you need the fudge so that you can write. So
Right.
Okay. And do you have any other works in progress at this moment, or you're
What am I
really
working
focusing on fudge?
I am also working on a picture book for little kids, the ages between 4 and 8. Mine is targeted for the 4 to 8. So I'm working on a picture book, and I am revising a screenplay right now. So, and that is based on, I write novellas, and one is When Rudolph Was Kidnapped.
Which is the best title ever.
It's a light romantic adventure, very sweet kind of thing. And so I've written it for Hallmark. I've gotten a couple of people interested, and then it's of course passed on. They look at it and they pass on it. So I know there's something I need to revise. So I'm going to be revising that based on this book or novella. So that's what I'm working on, When Rudolph Was Kidnapped. And other than that, I'm coaching writers too. People may not realize I'm also a writing coach. So I work with novelists and screenplays, screenwriters all the time, and short story writers. Yeah,
well,
probably like you do the same thing. Yeah.
Whenever you have a blog and the Blackbird writers, it's kind of like, oh, I never thought of that. So yeah, as far as coaching writers, you are just a wealth of information that I always really appreciate when you put something out there to the public.
Thank you. I've been at it a few years. Yeah. So.
Okay, well, I think we are all wrapped up then. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just had so much fun. And again, I hope at some point I can make it to Wisconsin and we can go and have lunch in person.
That would be fun. And I am online. People can go to christinedesmet.com and email me anytime if they have questions about writing or my books. So yeah, I hope they will visit me sometime and visit you as well.
All right, I hope so too. Okay, thank you so much for being here. And that's it for Blackbird Writers Presents.
Thank you.
Thank you.